Hollywood is full of dreamers, would-be movie moguls who think they have found a magic formula for success. And Wall Street is also full of dreamers, and in the bull market of the 80s, Hollywood and Wall Street found each other. But many investors who thought Hollywood Boulevard would be paved with gold woke up to a nightmare on Film Street. The mid-1980s were go-go years for the movie business. Not only were box office receipts setting records, but cable television and home video were giving producers a brand new source of revenue. The business moved into fast forward, Wall Street tuned in, and helped a dozen new movie companies cash in by selling stock to the public. In 1986, we featured some of them in a show called The New Hollywood, How to Make a Movie That Can't Miss. At New World Pictures, Harry Sloan thought he had a sure thing.
So even if the film fails at the box office, we can generally get 30 to 50% of the cost of the film back by selling off the foreign rights, and often another 25 to 50% between pay television, syndicated television, home video, and all the other ancillary rights. So it's pretty hard for the investors to lose money if you keep the cost of the movie down to $3 or $4 million.
At Cannon Films, Menahem Golan had the same idea.
What I'm saying will make you smile, but this is a fact. You must be an idiot to lose money on a $5 million average movie. If you pre-license your movies ahead of time, and the movie costs you an average cost of $5 million, there's no way you should lose money. No way.
Other new companies like Vestron and DEG joined the game. David Londoner keeps tabs on the entertainment business for Wertheim Schroeder.
Because the film companies has raised so much money from Wall Street, I mean really hundreds of millions of dollars, the number of column grade B movies expanded fairly dramatically. It crowded the market. It crowded the home video markets. And after a while, you just got so much B product that people weren't buying it.
As so many companies competed to make so many movies, costs ran out of control. Some producers lost their heads and began to spend far more than they could count on from home video. And when the movies died at the box office, investors saw their money go up in smoke. Investors in Cannon's public offering have lost 80% of their money. New World Pictures got taken over. Investors made 19% in 4 years. They would have done better in a savings account. At Vestron, the stock dropped 96% from its original price. And at Dino De Laurentiis DEG, the stockholders' money has all but vanished.
People hit their eye off the ball. They really forgot that this is a business which requires control over production costs. It requires attention to detail. And they got caught up in the glamour. And that was true of both of the investors and clearly of many of the companies that had huge dreams of glory.
Many of the companies that failed had pretensions of being the next Warner Brothers or Paramount. They got all tied up with big bucks and big stars. But one company is prospering without stars, and it has titles for its movies that you would have to say are memorable.
She's a nymphoid barbarian in dinosaur hell. Dialing for dingbats. It'll tickle your phony bones.
Hey, baby.
He's the only super cop who traded in his nightstick for a chopstick. He's Sergeant KABUKIMAN N.Y.P.D.
Welcome to Tromaville, otherwise known as Hell's Kitchen, on Manhattan's West Side. Troma may not be your typical movie company, but Lloyd Kaufman has the same basic concerns of any movie mogul, dealing with actors, post-production, while partner Michael Herz wrestles with high-concept marketing plans.
Vice Girl? That's not bad. Vice Girl. Cycle Vice Girls. Nah, I don't know. I think it's a little too musical.
Where did the name Troma come from?
Why don't you feel that one?
All righty. Well, we studied Latin at school, and Troma is from the ancient Latin. Virgil, Book 2 of the Aeneid. It means excellence on celluloid.
Kaufman and Herz met in the late 60s at Yale, where we suspect they spent more time thinking about movies than studying the classics. Herz went on to law school. Kaufman apprenticed himself to filmmakers like Sylvester Stallone. And together they raised $10,000 to make their first movie, The Battle of Love's Return. But they learned there was more to the business than making movies.
The biggest problem we had initially was distribution.
Absolutely.
Theatrical distribution.
In fact, we made a couple of bigger budget movies in the several $100,000 category, I guess in the mid-70s. We completed the films, and then we signed a distribution deal with another company, and the company not only reneged on the terms of the deal by not paying us money that was owed, but also released the films in the worst conceivable manner. They just dumped them, in other words. So they took away any value that these films had, and we discovered very quickly that if we could not control the distribution of the films, we wouldn't be making films very much longer.
So Troma moved into distribution, but it needed to find a genre that the major studios were ignoring, and they came up with squeeze play.
The rules in those days was that you can't make sex and comedy. Sex is very serious. So we did a movie that had raunchy, R-rated humor in it. And sure enough, Animal House came out at the same time, and we were onto something.
When Hollywood began churning out sexy comedies, Troma had to move on.
We saw a headline said something about horror films are dead. Horror films are dead. So, aha, perfect. We will do something in that vein because this is what the experts say not to do, and we'll work with environmental. And then we said, instead of this, put a spin on it, we'll make the monster a good guy. We'll make him a superhero.
Melvin became the Toxic Avenger, the first superhero born out of nuclear waste.
Troma built its reputation for a tongue-in-cheek combination of sex, violence, and horror with titles like Rabid Grannies, Surf Nazis Must Die, Video Demons Do Psycho Town, and sequels to The Toxic Avenger.
Don't touch that dial.
Many of the films feature cheesy and disgusting special effects.
In the movie, we will use a thick green slime.
Even though the film titles that we have may be a bit outrageous or the subject matters may seem a bit controversial, in terms of our business approach, we're very, very conservative. We want to be sure that we're spending enough money to deliver a competitively well-produced film with commercial content, but not so much money that if for some reason the great aesthetic dreams that we had for the film don't come true, we're not going to be left with a loss.
Does each movie make money?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think more than 95% of the films with which we have involvement have made money.
Because they cost so little.
Because the budgets are controlled, that's right.
And how much?
Well, there's a following now.
And also because the distribution avenues are exploited to the hilt.
The company is now seeking to broaden its product line and is looking for films that are a little more polished than the traditional Troma fare.
The Third's Death by Temptation.
It's Death by Temptation. The reason that got good reviews is that Michael and I had nothing to do with the making of that film. That was a movie we helped finance and a movie that some very, very talented young people made.
Scene 56, aerobics, take 2.
All right, you creeps and thugs, it's time for your early morning aerobic workout.
Troma has no debt. It owns its own building. It spends just $1 to $3 million per picture, and the company rakes in profits on movies the big studios would consider far too risky.
Who are you? I'm Kabukiman.
Risky in what way? Risky in terms of the creative chances that we take? The aesthetic?
Well, Michael, there's no question. I mean, look at Kabukiman. What if I went to a Hollywood, I don't know if you can see that thing, but if I went to a Hollywood studio and I said, gentlemen, sitting around the table, Mr. Agents and Mr. Gentlemen and Mr. Lawyers, we're going to make a movie where your central character looks like that. Would they go along? The first question is, who's in it? Who's in it, Mr. Troma? Who's in it? That's it. They're just like a machine. Who's in it? So, okay, Rick Gennazi's in it.
So
we get to make this movie.
You guys don't take a meeting? You don't deal with agents? You don't do all that stuff?
Not if we can help it.
The reason that Troma exists is so we can have the fun of making movies. We've got 90 pictures in our library now, 90 negatives, and we own all this stuff, and we do all this distribution, and we do a lot of hard work. The reason for that is so we can have the fun of making a movie once or twice a year, where Michael and I can actually write and direct the movie.
I think everyone's secret dream, I know we have many friends or acquaintances who are investment bankers, and every one of them would trade places with us in a minute, because they say that everyone has two businesses, their own and movies. And to be able to actually live out the fantasy of making movies and distributing movies and having control over that that's a wonderful life.
Troma! Aroma! Troma! And how great it is!
In the history of our show, we have taken you to the backwoods of China, to Poland to see dramatic changes, to the laboratories of Japan, and we have talked to countless prime ministers and senators and investment wizards. But never until now have we assessed a business that can produce products with titles like Surf Nazis Must Die, Rabid Grannies, and The Toxic Avenger. And now we have corrected this omission, and I think you'll agree we have found a business that can be fun and can be hair-raising. I'm Adam Smith. See you next time.